Welcome, guys. Freaking Sunday. Not much happening. We still are in pressure to the downside, slowly but grinding into it. There are still some things to mention. As you know, I do not care about any kind of freaking news. I'm not even looking at it. Like, I feel like I've been away for a week, but I've been just working on the side, doing some things. And not even that, I don't care what happened. Still not much seeing it on the chart back into it. So that's why I don't look at the news. I don't like to put my head into it and stick with some narrative that's coming in, like you don't even know what's true and what's not anymore. So I'm just sticking with the charts, and that's what I'm doing. So let's jump into it, and I want to cover some things and show you some decent area maybe to look for. Let's see if that's going to be playing out. But so far on the VIX side, we are still upwards grinding. Looking by it, we came quite close to the 20 area. As we mentioned, that's a point of interest that you don't want to lose technically, because then you're going to start to get back at 17. And look at that, perfect bounce from it. So this is as well a sign that we did the dump on crypto just because the volatility was high, and we did retrace. And yesterday we had that one candle that broke the whole structure to the downside, right? So yeah, that's still in a continuation till we're gonna change that. That means most likely, and for that particular part, we need to go a little bit more lower on the time frame, just because I have a feeling that VIX might come back into the area of the 4-hour swing failure, if you can call that in a swing failure. I'm still gonna aim for a structure like that, and we're gonna do some bigger stuff maybe to the downside. Let's see if that's gonna be happening. If not, we will aim for the 37. So from tomorrow, new week, time will tell, right? That's technically the area that I'm aiming first, and let's see how we're going to be dealing afterwards. So overall, this is still uptrending. Nothing else to say about that. Now, the interesting stuff start to look at Dixie, just because we had that last of the low quite heavily and aggressive, and from that moment we've been up grinding into the resistance. Technically, we did reclaim this whole block over here, and we are still holding on a major resistance from above us, right? Now, by the looks of it, we can do two things. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit on the higher time frame. So by the looks of it, we are technically doing exactly the same thing what we did in 2023 June, July, whatsoever. So this can still be the high that we are in right now. We can have one more pullback into the higher low, right? And then we're just gonna grind a bit more higher, and we're gonna do the pop. That pop, that's gonna be the bear market pop, right? That's the whole idea of it, is that the dollar is gonna be in outperforming, technically, like just going into the 108 area, but not overall like into the highs that we used to know. That's a resistance, and from that moment, when we start to get into the bear market, right, we're gonna deal with it and then go off the cliff and get wrecked. So that means the reversal of the market. This is kind of what I'm aiming for, that we're gonna do. By that, we still need to settle a bit of structure for it, because we are still technically downtrending with a regain of the high. We did not confirm any low of it, so that's why if VIX is gonna get back at 97-ish, and we're gonna hold that, we start to grind out of it, then we might see that pop, right? That's quite, it's gonna be quite interesting for it. But this is kind of what I'm looking at it. So far, we've been in this whole down movement, because this is still downtrending for a while. And for the significant bear market, we need the dollar to pop, because that means that's the only area when the dollar is in a favor, right? In dominance of the whole, against the whole market, because no one is buying or no one is doing anything. Everyone is selling and turning into the dollars. That means in profit. That might change in this couple of months from this moment. So yeah, let's see how we're going to be dealing with it. But so far, I've been aiming for, we did hit the resistance, not fully the highest resistance that is holding us. Yes, we did above the mid-range. So yeah, dangerous level to hold, 99% or sorry, dollars, and 97.7. Those are the area that I'm aiming for dollar to hold. So yeah, let's see how that's going to be playing out in a couple of months from now on. So yeah, market wise, this is all quite interesting. We did got into the resistance. We didn't pop it, but we did got into it. So right now, the only thing that you want to do is to hold 702, right? That's the low that you want to hold. Or if not, you still can get lower on the wick, but you still need to close anything above 695. There is nothing else. If you start to close, and that's going to be a rough one, because then things might go a little bit more quicker. If we start to close anything above 4 hour below the 696, and that's done, because there is not much to hold us. This not gonna hold us. This not gonna hold us anymore, right? So yeah, but technically, I mean, we could wipe it and we still could hold a little bit on it before we're gonna do another one, right? Something like that. But not seeing it right now. Just after setting that high from the whole range, we broke out from it, right? But we still holding on this whole hip. That might be the case as well when we're gonna turn around and do another high of it, and then we do maybe one more, a little bit more higher up. But that's a stretch for it before we're gonna hit the bear market. But now the funny thing is, quite interesting as well, gold has a nice dip. So if you don't have the automation on the gold, what we are using on the bot master, so the PXG or even the normal gold, then you technically missed out on the 10% move, or even a little bit more from the highs of it. So yeah, this is heavily broken already, right? We had it like a iffy broke over here, like that wasn't like the break that I've been looking at it. Failing the high, that was the rejection. That's quite perfect. And Stu, I think you agree with me as well that this was really nice one. And look at that, where we get back at the low support, but you technically don't want to lose. So this still could potentially do one more ish 4% candle or wick into the lows, grab the liquidity, but you don't want to lose anything below 4.384. If so, then you start to get back at the freaking lows of this stuff, and that's gonna be a massive break, because for gold, and I'm gonna keep that for the weekly because it's hard to zoom out so far. So that's the low on the weekly that you don't want to lose. And then you start to get back at 969 area. If so, if you start to lose this, then you start to get back at 3K. That's rare for gold to do, right? Last time we did it, it was in 2022. We broke the whole freaking structure on gold. This. But then the regain of that one was ballistic. So yeah, it's been a while. Same thing counts for silver. We had this, let's say we're gonna consider all of that, the same structure, what we used to have it. So this been in a range back in the days for over almost 2 years. This could range out. So can we do it again? Definitely. What are the levels that we don't want to lose it? Technically the levels that we already losing it. Right, so the low at 72, you don't want to lose that. Right now we've been tested, that low been already tested, so that's why we are already that deep into that low, because there is not much to hold us. All of the freaking liquidity has been grabbed, so there is nothing. Where do you get back? 52 at least, right? This is the 52 area, that's the support. And what you don't want to lose is 48. Simple as that, right? From one support to another. So yeah, this is rough. And believe me, this will go a little bit lower, because for silver to get that exposure move we did from 50 or 45-ish area into the 123, that's been quite a ballistic and parabolic move. After that, every single time you have that, like if you imagine this whole move what we had over here, 175%, and you counted this as same move, 200, what did we do? We went sideways for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 years. Have fun. Like this is gonna be a long way, guys, for it to recover. But time will tell, right? So far, yeah, we're losing it, and yeah, we're still going lower. And to be honest with you, silver didn't even regain or come close to the highs of it. Like what X did or even gold did, right? We did retest the high. So that was a perfect failure. Silver, therefore, it was already so weak that we had this dump, and from that we had the second low. So that low, and you didn't even need to go back there, because only already here the swing failure what you had from the technically already from this area, that's been done. All right, this is all freaking down. Closing it right now, no matter that's gonna be weekly or the daily, back at 52 easily. So for people that likes to trade it, that's your next step. If you want to catch any kind of long positions for it or something, or maybe buy it cheaper, then that's the aim. Oil, like a lot of shit going on with it. Oil is doing exact the same thing as silver. So remember this. Just remember this whole structure: parabolic move, dump, grind up, and another failure. Right, the second failure that we have. Look at that. Parabolic move, dump, broke the structure, grind, fail, and you broke it again. So this is the high that you don't need to regain for any kind of potential to get higher up. If so not, you start to get back at this low. So let me just put it a bit more nicely. So this is the low that you technically aim to lose, if that's going to be the case, if you're not going to regain the highs of this. Right? Before that, you're not even thinking about it to get back at 111. So yeah, those are the levels, and it's exact the same thing as silver. Right? That's the high, but oil might pop as well, right? You might pop it, and then you start to get in the underside retest. Wrong. Underside retest. So pop that, get back, pay the low. There we go. So yeah, fun, right? Yeah. You know who to thank that. There's only one person who is involved with that shenanigans. The mister who said, I'm not starting any war. Anyhow, moving on with the fun stuff. Dominance. We do have a nice failure of the dominance, what we technically want for potential up movement, right? You want that to decrease. You want dominance as low as possible for potential your coins, assets, or whatsoever to regain the strength of it. So right now what we did was the failure of the high, swing failure over here perfectly, and now if we start to lose 58, then that's potentially gonna bring you lower into this area. This is not gonna hold you anymore, because that's been already quite heavily tested, and we did fail that. So already you are in downtrending. That's good. That's what we want. Let's see how long we're gonna keep that. So far, this is really good. Weekly wise as well, even better. Not failure or technically retrace of the whole weekly. That's a good thing for potential Bitcoin or any odds to move a little bit more higher up, and that's the only thing that keeps me a little bit more in check for potential a little bit more higher up move. That said, I'm still in the game for 77.7 area, right? I'm not aiming for any bigger things. Let me just fix this. I don't aim anything bigger for now, just because 77 is still there for us resistance. Is there any CME gap? It's been a while we had one, right? Something major, 70, 70, something. No, I don't think we're gonna have something bigger till we're not gonna have some ballistic moves from now on till the end of the weekly close. But yeah, that's the case overall of the market sentiment. Now we'll have a look on the Bitty, how we've been dealing. Why 77.7? I will show you in a second. And technically you can see that over here as well, because this is the resistance. Is still this area over here, 77, right? So you can see this is keeping us below. So this is the resistance. We still didn't even come close to break out from it. So grinding into that, right? We're grinding into that area. That potentially could case similar things. I'm going to show you on a different chart because this is a little bit more too small. Same thing what we did over here. This hip over here been keeping us down, and we got into that, and that was a bigger failure for the market or Bitcoin. So yeah, that's why. But I'm going to cover that in a second. Overall, Bitcoin sentiment. We are below the whole core line of liquidity. So we did take the 150 X's, most of it. There's still so left. We still potentially can go into the point of control and close to 66.1. That's the only level that you don't want to break for Bitcoin for any kind of potential going higher. Because if you break that, there is nothing else that's going to hold you, and we're going to do this quite quickly. But we are not there yet for breaking it. We are close to holding it, but not close to breaking it yet. But there are some things that still considering for going lower. Large cap, for example, on capital flow index. So the flow of the whole capital are quite down, right? So that's good. We want that to go down for it potentially a reverse, because then the stable coins and alts might flip as well. So we want that whole flip of funds for us potentially to go higher. Now, oscillator wise, so the trend wise, we are still quite aggressive overheated, right? So potentially this could grind out for it, because I like to see the third attempt get into this resistance, because then we're gonna see the divergent play out. And that's what I'm aiming for. If that divergent played out, then we're gonna have a nice clean move to the downside. And that will be really sweet one. So yeah, cash flow still negative. We are close at the neutral line, but we are still negative. So this could potentially even go lower, or potentially flip for a small fraction of a second into the positive, or do something like this we had over here, right? Because already we are doing the same inflow structure that we used to have it over here. Now that one positive inflow over here, that's not going to be that one push. That can be as well for potential profit taking, and then we're going to do and continue lower, possible, right? So yeah, awesome stuff. Let's move on the fully capital flow index overview. And on the daily wise, we are still heavily into the sideline. VIX is high, DXY is high on the daily. Market wise, we went almost into the 60% on the daily. Now we are in a neutral line, and the rest of the market is down as fuck. So that got butchered. Now moving on the weekly, I like to look at it. Technically we're doing the vice versa on it. Daily wise, it's happened 7 times over the week, and weekly wise it's for the whole week overview, and that's why I like to look at it. So we are sidewise. So VIX, DXY, and USDT are quite heavily. PEX and silver got butchered, and the whole market is down. Now, this is what I want to see. I've been saying that for quite a while. I want that flip. Why? Because now you're certain when all of this stuff from here, when that starts to get down, all of that start to get up. Why? Because you're gonna do the capital flow rotation. That means everyone that's sidelined it in USDT, gonna invest in anything that's already quite low, right? Or they're gonna buy it up. Same thing with the Nasdaq, SPX, or even crypto. And then of course the commodities might pick up as well. That's what I like to see. So that's going to be quite interesting, definitely for the week. And let me check. There is no economic numbers even coming in, so even better. So it's going to be a quiet week, or not that volatile, maybe, as we think. So yeah, I like that. I like that flip. I really like that. So every single time, like we had it on, let's say, here, for example, right? This was the vice versa. Every single DXY, VIX, and USDT that will be high, and the market was here. So where did we do the flip? Right? And now this is just continuation of it to do it another one. That's what I'm waiting for. So that's going to be quite juicy to look at it. But yeah, where we might do one more in the beginning of the week, right? That volatile move, and then we start to turn around. That would be really nice to see. Now, finally, let's go to the bitty. One sip of coffee. Really nice. Love it. Love it. So yeah, overall, what did we do from last week? Quite nothing. Yeah, on the side retest, perfect to the T, and we just killed the first support, and now we've been dealing with the second one and the last one before we hitting the prior one, right? So scalping that, yeah, it was maybe nice if someone cared about it, but I wasn't even that much heavily into it. I wasn't even looking at the charts, just because the only reason for me to hold is this area over here. There is nothing else below. There isn't, to be honest with you, but I'm gonna go cover that in a second. Why is the daily high, swing over here? Because the 4 hour it's as well over here, but I rather go for the highest one, so the daily one, plus below of at the 66, yeah, exactly 66 area is the weekly open that didn't been tested. So I like that. I like when the daily swing with the weekly covered up on the support. So for me, that's a kind of a no-brainer to ladder my positions into it with maybe 2% stop below, right? To your own your risk. But now, why I'm aiming for 77, because this is still uptrending, right? This is whole uptrending move. We are getting into the support of that whole swing, and now I'm aiming for one more, or maybe even higher up, whatsoever. Now, the reason is why I'm aiming for that 77 is quite clear. Why? Because we have at least February level at a little bit higher up, 78.7, that didn't been tested on high time frame. That means everything above the daily. So even the weekly and the monthly didn't come close to retesting that. That's already one, and quite biggest one, because it's funny enough, it's February, and if people remember from last year what happened with February, that was over here. February open, right? Last level here. And look how long it took us, right? We went all the way down, sideways, and it took us almost a year, or sorry, not even a year, but half year, a little bit longer than half year, to do the first retest of that freaking level, right? I've been saying that as well before February open over here, because I said, watch out that this level not gonna hold us for a while over here, and it does, right? We bounce quite heavily into the downside, right? 59k, we got that, we had the rebounds, but we still didn't regain that. Okay, so if you don't care about those levels, that's fine, but then you have this whole hip. This is an empire and reversal sign. So the first ever candle, right, that goes in positive after the dump, that's your sign of resistance or support if you flip that. But first thing first, that's going to be a resistance. If you don't regain that hip, you're going to stay below and you're going to go lower no matter what. Same thing what happened over here, right? That kept you as well quite for a long time below that hip, and then you just did one push into that one, but eventually that wasn't even worth it to hold, because after that, what did you do? Not only once, but twice, you broke the low straight up from that high. So can we do it again? Fuck yeah, right? And then what you're gonna break is this potentially, and then you get back at this. Are we gonna do the same thing? Yeah, we can, right? We can, definitely. So yeah, time will tell, but so far that's the aim. Now, why I'm aiming specifically for that 77, Like I said, just because we can wick into that February level, come close, and 77, it's the middle of this whole range that we have, because this is still a range. Inside retest of that range, that's a significant failure and swing failure to go lower. Easy as that. Right, so I hope that's quite clear what I'm saying, because it is in my head. And anyhow, and why I'm not aiming for anything higher up, because there is no sense and there's no point to aim anything over here. While we are, for me, it's a clear sign. I'm not aiming for anything, for example, 95k, while we are at 68 and not even close to reaching 77 yet, right? Starting to regain this and holding it as in uptrend, then yeah, I might look at this, right? But there is no point for now. So yeah, let's get back at game plan. So yeah, this is the whole area that I'm looking at it. So the highest, the wick, sorry, the wick and the February, that's the red line. That's the highest you want to go on the body, right? And then starting to close anything below the 78-ish and failing it and holding 77, that's your sign. This is the sign. Why? Just because you have this whole range. This was the high, right? This is the low, and this is the mid of the range. Easy as that. Yep, that's everything for it. And why I don't think we're gonna hold anything else below us, just because on the 4 hour we've been testing everything to the left side, and daily, this is the daily support, right? So I'm gonna ladder into this stuff and then keep my 2%, and that's the area that I'm looking at it. After that, there is nothing, right? This been tested, and this already tested. It's a free fall. Close anything below here, right, on the daily or above, it's done. Done. We're gonna do this whole freaking wipe, and we're gonna get back at 58. On top of that, this is well quite handy tool for you to get. So what do we have above us? Yeah, there are some orders, right, that could be interesting to grab. That's going to be like on the resistance and on the side retest. Fine, we can take that out, right, and do something like this. Potentially there is not much above that. Even there is one more quite higher up, not really there yet. So where do you aim to go? If we're not gonna go higher up, or we're gonna still failing the highs, where are the orders? Where's the magnet, right? So where's the money? Over here. Look at that, 1.5. Interesting. Where is it? Here. Where does the end of the daily ends? Support 65.5, 65.9. Okay, a little bit below that, but still we can wick into that, right? There we have it. Easy as that. If you're gonna look at the orders, right? If you look at it. But yeah, this starts to look like we might even potentially go a little bit lower, because they are technically starting to stack it. It's not something significant yet, but yeah, start to get thicker. At least the below us is thicker than above us, right? Yes, we have some order blocks, but they are still a little bit more higher up. To get there, you start to regain some stuff, so eventually you might even turn around and go higher. That's the case. All right, so but yeah, this is still the stuff that I'm looking at and holding on it. And let's see how we're going to be dealing with it from now on. And weekly close in, well, 6.5 hours. It'll be interesting. And look at the weekly already specifically. That was a quite interesting retrace of the weekly, and As I've been saying, you don't want to lose this, right? Why? 65.7 is that fucking important, because not only the daily, not only 4 hour, but as well the weekly low is there. Losing that, it's done. What's next? 58 or 54? There we have it. Easy as that. Monthly, it's as well interesting. We still have week and 2 days. Yeah, week and 2 days ish for it. So yeah, potentially that can even retrace the fully, right? We can do that. But that's still a lot of time to tell for it. And here, same thing. Week close, right? The whole uptrend, really nice. And the next one, weekly, fully retrace. And what did we do? Did we close below the previous low that's been already 4 time tested? Yes, we did. So yeah. That's that. There's not much to say about it, actually. On Bitcoin, we still that uptrending. I mean, overall, oscillator-wise, yeah, we are quite heavily still overheated on it. Not really fully retrace into the neutral line, so potentially can we go lower? Yes, that's only the one sign that gives me like, right, we can do one more, and that's why I've been aiming for that divergent move. We could have that, and that would be really perfect swing failure and divergency as well, momentum. But yeah, if that starts to close anything below, then we are done. Not much to say about it. On chain, we are a bit below 50, so stuff start to get a bit more iffy. We're gonna go back at 43-ish area on it. That's on daily, right? So yeah, interesting. But still, oh yeah, volatile index still high, and we are doing, oh fucking hell, look at that. Like, you can get it like much more accuracy like that. Like, we are doing exact the same thing without that one move, and maybe that was the case, right? Who knows? Because if you look at it, like, it could be that we did that already, and we do gonna break that whole low. Right, that's still the potential of it. I'm not saying it's not. I wish we're gonna do one more with the bigger stuff, but we could be there already. So yeah, I think that's all on Bitcoin. Let me just check the chat before I'm gonna go through some altcoins. Expected 68 sweep after the F1 by this high negative on Trump. Oh, he won the war. So why he didn't start the war? He didn't want to start the war. He did start the war. What was it? And now he's gonna be like he won the war. What he didn't start, and complaining about NATO that we didn't want to help him because it's not our war, it's his war. He started it. Fuck them. Jesus, that fucking clown. Why 77? So yeah, I think I explained that already, right? I think that's clear. Icon. Ultimate will be the relief as there are already planned. Yeah. Look for here, not here. I'm looking if we're gonna get back at 67-ish. So overall, if you switch even the liquidity, right, on it, on the 4 hour, we are quite bottom. We have that divergent coming in regular that played out already, so we could do one more and look at that quite perfectly. We still have one more pocket quite heavily, so this could potentially wick into it and start to grind higher up, right? So yeah, This is kind of the area that I'm aiming for. Yeah, potential. We could wick lower, right? If we're gonna see some freaking volatile movements, and this is the area. This is the area to have the volatility kick in. Why? Because then you're gonna do a freaking big ass candle that's gonna retrace quite heavily and leave a wick behind. I'm gonna close here, do one more, and that's bye bye. What is that? Aggregated order book indicator? Indicator? You mean this? Wait, you mean this? That's, yeah, it's technically there are indicators. It's a website. Yeah, I have it here. Yeah, Kayotaka here. It's a Kayotaka website, so you can. It's for free, so happy days, right? Not often you see something for free, and you can see the order placement and aggregated, right, or single wise. So it's up to you what you want to see it, and there are a lot of different indicators that you can use of it. The only thing that pissed me off lately, I don't know why it's happening on my side. Every single indicator that I switch on this, it's got deleted after I refresh the page. So that's why I'm not really often use it. But yeah, it's a really good tool to spot really nice order blocks as well, but some orders as in which direction price might tend to go, where are the heavy buyers, sellers, all that stuff. There is a lot of things to it. There is one more, MMT, sorry. I'm still testing it out. I'm working my way on it, but that's a different pay. You need to pay for that one. But this one is for free. Yeah. So yeah. Oh, if you didn't know that, we've been talking about that one for ages here. But yeah, anyhow, yeah, there is still a lot of liquidity below us to grab, but we are stacking as well quite nicely the 150 axis. So yeah, that's something as well to consider, because last time we've been here, we didn't have that much room, right? So yeah, okay, move on. Hype. Now hype got freaking ballistic. I like it. Let me zoom out for it. So yeah, you can take this as two different things, right? Because yes, it did a freaking big move, right? We did a move on almost 1x on it. Potentially, yeah, you can argue with me or not, but that's not the point. The $43 was the line in the sand for me to regain or even go higher. That said, yes, we reached that, but now we need to hold on that one. How do we going to deal it? Are we going to do exactly the same thing that we did over here? That's the question. Now, first likely, we will need to see how we're going to deal with this support. This is quite heavy support. This is kind of support that I want to hold it. If we're going to start to break that 36, we have, and this is another one, but I've been saying that HIP, that one candle that's heavily flipped while we've been doing the up movement. Now this is the area that I want to hold it. I don't want to even fill up this gap. I don't want to come back at this, because that's already potential aim for disaster when we start to get back at the lows, right? Because then this whole movement what we did is still gonna be, it's still gonna be all of this technically, right? So not much changing on high time frame. Yes, on the low time frame we did quite a lot of change. So this is a good area to hold. Are we going to hold it? Well, potentially we could, right? There is still a lot of liquidity below us. It's all depending on the weekly close, how we're going to be dealing with that. That retrace on that weekly, it's not really bueno. If we decide to close it a little bit below, so far still good, but you don't want to get lower than that. So potentially that's the area that you should look at it for it to hold, or even coming a little bit more closer at 37-ish, but there is not much to grab. Only the below this whole area start to be a little more juicy, but it come close, right? We did reach 97 quite nicely. So yeah, that's the area to for it to bounce. So still really good. Now moving on, injective. We did break the low that we I had one push from it, not something significant. We did the underside retest, so that's really good, and now we are aiming to go lower. Now this is the low that I want to hold it, right? Because breaking it again, yes, potentially we can run it up again, but then you're not changing anything, right? You're not gonna be changing this whole movement. You need to hold that low, so at least 2.8-ish for it to regain the high, right? That's the whole aim. Trading view, you are pissing me off. So that's the whole aim, right? This is the low that you want to hold it. Yes, we can dip into it, that's fine, but you don't want right now to lose it. We did lose that after that whole big move, and I don't want to see it again. If you're gonna see that again, I'm not gonna jumping into it. I'm just gonna let it run and see it's happening in over a couple months or something, because I'm really down with it to try to catch the lows on it. I mean, I did properly catch it, but it's start to get tedious. AVAX doesn't have that problem. AVAX is in a really good uptrending movement, right? Yes, we did lose the lower time frame lows that I don't care about it. And now the only thing that I do care about it is holding on 8.9. This is the area that you need to hold. That's the low that we came back from it. We did regain the high of this whole resistance area from it. So that's significant low that you don't want to regain, sorry, fail from. If so, the only low that you then care about is this. You don't want to get back at this, all that stuff over here. So potentially, yes, we could sweep all those liquidity and then go higher up, that's fine. But then I'm aiming to hold anything above or anything around 8.8. That's the low that matters for it. So yeah, and there is a lot of potential for it. Because the next aim, if we start to reverse, is this stuff over here, $10. So that's going to be a really heavy stuff we're going to deal with. Moving on Solana, same thing as AVAX, but we didn't regain this whole hip, right? So we are a little bit one behind on AVAX, but still in the same uptrend. Same way, same principles. We can lose all of that. I don't care about that. That's all liquidity what's here to grab. I don't want to get close at 81-ish. I don't want to get close about that. You can grab all the liquidity, right? Hold on that, and then try to find you entries over here, ladder into that. That's 3.6%. That's a really good area to ladder in. Hold on it, stop loss below the wick, and then move on from it quite quickly into this stuff, $100 area, because that's the resistance that's gonna hold us back. We're gonna do one more move from it, definitely. That's nothing to regain in one go, but that's the low that you don't want to lose, because everything else is tested. I don't care about this, because that's a weak support over here that we somehow find our way above it, and that's fine. But I don't want to go back at it, because testing that and losing it, it's nothing else, and you're gonna deep dive lower. That's not gonna happen definitely now. So yeah, and then render, of course. Render had ballistic move, really nice one, like I mentioned as well. This was fucking perfect squeeze event that you had on it, and if you didn't catch that, then I'm sorry for it. I've been screaming about it. And we did underside retest of this whole hip over here. We didn't regain the highs of it. I don't care about it. Now there are two things that we can aim for. Potentially on the higher time frame, we can come back at 1.4-ish, or we're gonna hold on the RSI flip that we did over here, because there is not much heavy liquidity only below that in that support, but I technically want to hold it. Same thing what we did over here, we skipped that support, right? So can we do it again? Probably, yeah, we can. So if that's gonna be leaping into this liquidity and hold on that one, we could skip all of that stuff over here. So yeah, and to be honest with you, I really like how Render is behaving lately. Really aggressive moves, a lot of grinding, also in liquidity farming, right? And it's still holding on the prior low. So this is really start to look as a strong one. So yeah, happy that I'm in on it. Spot and leverage, but still, I would like to have a little more about it, right? Yeah, good stuff. That's the aim so far. And there is not much, I guess, what I can cover. But yeah, any questions? That's me yapping around. People left, so they are not really happy about my bearish sentiment. Cool. Any questions about that? About me yapping around for now? What's going on over here? Let me check the chat. Cool. Anything you guys looking at? Any coins? Any tickers? Anything? No? Cool. But yeah, I think that's quite clear where we are heading and what's the aim, right? So let's see what the weekly open is gonna bring us. I like the daily lately, much better. Oh yeah, look at the 65. If you lose that, then goodbye. Why? Because it's not only this hip, but you're losing all of this support, all of this block. The whole block here is lost. There's nothing else, and it's goodbye only. If we do that, right? Not saying we're gonna do it, but if we're gonna do that, well, we could. But that one more would be really lovely. Do one more and then bye. It would be even nicer if you're gonna click into this, come close, above, fail this, and then there's nothing else that's gonna hold you. And people's gonna why? Bye. Lovely. I guess. Orders, yeah, they are still there. They are not spoofing it. All right, cool. No questions. Okay, that's an easy one today. Then I guess my job is done for today. Should be a short one, but I'm still 1 hour in. Cool. All right, thank you very much, guys. I will see you on Wednesday, and yeah, keep it safe. Don't rush things, right? Let the trades come to you. Whether it's happening, here, first thing first, right? And see what's going to be happening. If you start to break things, then you know what's happening. And zoom out sometimes, right? This is really necessary. And if you're really not sure, this is the best way to see where we're going to heading first, right? What did we do? We are failing, right? Failing this with this. So if we start to turn around, okay, where's the first retest for the continuation? There, right? I think that's clear, right? Not, I don't know, makes sense to me at least. Yeah, if you need anything, let us know. You can find a lot of things over here, and believe me, it's worth to look at it, especially on the crypto cards, if you need anything. And yeah, happy days. I will see you Wednesday and definitely tomorrow on the market open. Bye bye. Love you all.